Good morning. This is the Virtual PBX admin training. The training will last between 30 to 45 minutes, mostly depending on load times. Feel free to make use of YouTube's chat feature to ask a question about a feature as I'm going over it, and I'll do my best to respond to the questions as I see them. We do record this training, so if you can't stay for the whole time, that's fine. You can just come back later and finish watching at your convenience. That also allows you to share the link with other people among your staff who need to be system admins. This training is mostly to tell you where things are and basically how to find them on the dashboard system itself. I'll be referring to the support page link that's in the show notes, so that way you can do a search for the specific feature for the complete step-by-step instructions. If I went through all of those, this would probably be a 2-hour podcast or stream. With that, let's go ahead and get started. You see here, this is the Dash login page, which is at dash.virtualpbx.com. To get logged in, we need 3 pieces of information. The first is your username, and that is your email address, which should be in all lowercase letters. Your password, which is case sensitive. And then your account name, typically your organization name, which is not case sensitive. Now, if for some reason that doesn't work, just above the sign-in bar, there's a Forgot Your Info link. You can click on that. And we still need that email address. And then we need one of the 2 following pieces of information, either the account name, which is probably the easiest, or a phone number that's on the account. Click on the Reset Password bar there. That will trigger an email being sent to you. In the body of that email will be a link that will let you temporarily log in to change your password. If you try to do anything else, it will log you out. Once you change your password, it will also log you out. So you can come back here and you can click on Remember Me, but beyond that, click on Sign In. And we'll get to the dashboard page. So the dashboard just gives you a brief snapshot of your system status. If we start up here at the top, you'll see your name with your account name. If you click on your name, big pop-up shows up. Starts off on your user account information. This is where you would go to change your password if you didn't need to change, if you already knew how to log in. As system admins over here on the left, you can click on account. And the main thing people change here is the time zone, right? So that way their system time is their time zone versus Pacific time. You can also manage add-ons. These are additional features. Generally speaking, they will increase your monthly bill. There'll be a pop-up letting you know what that monthly charge is. Among the add-ons are virtual text forward, multiple auto attendants, the advanced reporting feature, and dynamic caller ID. You would just click to enable. As a system admin, you can also access the billing portal, and this link here will take you to the actual billing portal. However, you have to fill out a form. It basically requires the email address, and it's whoever is the email address that we have on file for the billing contact, because you can get access to that. But that is where you would go to update payment information or see previous invoices. Any system admin can click on Cancel Account, and there'll be a red button on the far right that you can click on to then fill out a form to cancel your account. When you do that, the account will close at the end of the current billing cycle. There won't be anything else you need to do. You'll get sent a final invoice, basically covering the last of your usage of that month. When you're done here in the user account pages, click on the close box up here to the top right, and you'll be back here on the dashboard page. Now, to the right of your name, there's a DND toggle. That stands for Do Not Disturb. Mine is currently active, meaning I'm not taking calls. Now, if I click on it again, it will be deactivated, and then calls will come into my user as normal. Next, we have a little phone icon here. This opens up a new tab and takes me to webphone.virtualpbx.net. If I have a web phone device on my user, I can log in on that page using my Dash login information, and then I can use Chrome or Firefox on my computer to make and receive calls. Little chat bubble here. This opens up a new tab. It takes you to virtualtext.app. This web page has its own login information, and that is how you would make use of the virtual text feature. Little question mark icon here. This opens up a chat bubble at the bottom right of your browser window, so you can speak to our support team so they can walk you through a particular feature. The hamburger icon here, or the menu icon, 3 horizontal lines, gets you to other dash features, which we'll cover briefly. And then the arrow to the right icon is the logout button. Skipping down here into the middle, I have my total users. I have 5 people on this account. These are 5 people who make and receive calls. I'm being billed for each of these users. Total devices and a breakdown of the kinds of devices I have. I have 14 total. The main ones to pay attention to are the soft phone, the web phone, and the SIP phone. Those are all VoIP devices, and it's possible I could be being charged for those devices, depending on the plan. Total numbers, I have 12. Your plan will include at least one local number, typically designed to be your main number, as well as for some of our plans also include a local number per user. Right? So I can have up to 6 numbers on this account. Anything above that, I'm going to be charged on a per number basis every month. Conference bridges, oops. I have 2 of them. That means I've enabled the conference feature on 2 of my users so they can host or moderate a conference. Towards the top right here, I have my main number block. These 3 numbers all behave the same way. Basically, they're going to the same spot on my system, and they're all going to play the same main greeting. Conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. They all go to the same set of conference rooms. And you'll be prompted to enter in a PIN number, or the conference room number, and then the PIN number that you wish to join. Then we have the main fax box number. You can have one main fax box number, and this is your inbound fax number. Company directories, there's 2 links here. The first is CSV. Just downloads a CSV file. Use your favorite spreadsheet program. It's going to list all your staff members, all the users, their extension numbers, their email addresses, their devices. The soft phone file, that's for use with the desktop VirtualPBX soft phone app. So if you're using our soft phone app on your Mac or Windows PC, you can download this file and then upload it to your soft phone. In the contact list, you'll see the other staff members who have the VirtualPBX soft phone as devices, and you'll be able to see the status of their soft phones. And so you can see if Bob is on a call at the time, so you know not to try to call him. It only shows the status of the VirtualPBX soft phones. Any other phones, it won't show. VirtualPBX Store, this opens up a new tab, takes you to store.virtualpbx.com. There you can order things like VoIP phones, among other things. The account realm, every account has its own account realm. It's one of the 3 pieces of information you need to program or provision a third-party soft phone device. It's also used in outbound faxing, which we'll cover in a little bit. Now we're going to skip up here to the top, this blue bar here, caller ID. If you click on that, this pull down lets you select any of your main numbers. Whichever number you select becomes your default number. For example, your VoIP phones would use this number by default as their outbound caller ID. Hold music, when you click on this button, you can upload your own hold music file. The system will play a .wav or .mp3 file up to 1 megabyte in size, and this becomes the default hold music for your staff. Right, you would just click on the upload button here, click browse to find the file, click the up arrow icon. Once it finishes uploading, you click on save changes. And this plays after your call has reached your staff members' VoIP phones, and then they've pressed hold on their VoIP phone. That's when this media file will play. Now, hours is part of main number, but we want to make sure some other things are set up first before we go into main number. So with that in mind, over here on the left, we'll click on users. Here you see my users that are added on the account. People with the blue suit icon, those are my system admins, right? They can make all the changes we're talking about here. The gray people icon, these are my standard users. They can basically access their voicemail and set up their own call forwarding. essentially. Up here at the top, you click on Add User, and you fill out the form. The main thing to keep in mind is that the email address used for login needs to be unique for each user. This is how the system communicates with your staff, right? Voicemail notifications, password resets, etc. Create a password, create an extension. Now, by default, the system will automatically create a voicemail box for the user, which is typically something we recommend leaving alone. Here's your option to have the user be in the user directory. You can always change that later. You also have the option to send emails to an alternate address, meaning if you want those voicemail notifications or password reset emails to go to a different email address than the one used for login, you would check on the box here and enter in that alternate address in the box provided. This is also something you can change at any time. And then send credentials to the user, which basically means is once you click one of these buttons at the bottom, the new user gets an email welcoming them to the Dash account and will provide them with their login information. Now, once the user is created, you can click on their name. Right, you can adjust their name if you need to, i.e. you made a typo. Here's your option to change their credentials, i.e. their email address or their password. Here, you can change the PIN number for their voicemail box. It's just 4 digits. Here's the option to send to an alternate address. Here's the option to be in the user directory or not. The little person icon here, this pull down will let you change a user into an admin or an admin to a user. Little clock icon, this pull down lets you change the time zone for the user so their voicemail timestamps are correct. Flag icon changes the display language of these web pages for the user. You have English, French, German, or Russian. The ringing timeout, this defaults to 20 seconds, which is typically plenty of time to send calls to a landline or a VoIP phone. If you have a user only using a cell phone, you'd want to change this to at least 30 seconds, maybe as much as 45. Any changes, click on Save Changes at the bottom here. Extension box, you can add multiple extension numbers to a user. Just click on Add Extension, enter that new extension number, then Save Changes. Users can have their own phone numbers. You have the option for using a spare number, which is a number that's already on your account, or buying a number which adds a new number to the account. This number on a user is available 24/7. It has no hours of operation, no holidays, right? It works all the time. Users can have multiple numbers if you want them to. Device box for a user, this is where we recommend adding devices directly to a user. Just saves you a step of having to reassign them later. The device I'm going to talk about here is adding a soft phone, specifically the VirtualPBX soft phone. So here you would select soft phone. You'll get this warning message no matter every time you add a soft phone or a web phone. Please read it at least once. And then we'll close it. Here, you have this big box. Now it's defaulting to a third-party soft phone, meaning you're using somebody else's soft phone application. If you're going to use ours, then down here below where it says View Configuration Guide, click on the toggle, right? It says use third-party application. Click on that. So now it says use VirtualPBX application, enter in a device name, click on create device down here at the bottom right. When the box disappears, click on Save Changes. When you click on Save Changes, this user gets an email letting them know their VirtualPBX soft phone is ready. In the body of the email, there are going to be download links so they can link or they can download the correct file for their device. Also on the body of the email will be their login information to use with the app. It's going to be different than their Dash login information. Now, for other devices, use the support page, or you can look at the auto provisioning phones document if you're adding SIP phones. User features, voicemail box. Every user typically is going to have their own voicemail box. Voicemail boxes can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they are full and cannot accept any more. So hopefully your staff is good about checking voicemails. By default, they can check their voicemails by calling in, right? From a VoIP phone, *98, click call. That's going to log them directly into your voicemail box that was created with their user. They enter their PIN number. They can view or listen to their messages and delete them there. Also, if you log in through the web pages, every staff member can get to their own user portal, and that will allow them to view and listen to their voicemail messages and manage them. Now, by default, we also send the voicemail messages via email. So you'll get an email messages with the details of the call, and then there'll be an MP3 attachment that you can then listen to the message. But that does not automatically delete the message from the voicemail box. You can choose to do that here. However, if you do that, then your staff members will not be able to listen to them over the phone or via the web page. Follow me. This is for users with multiple devices. Now, if we look up here on David, he's got multiple devices. So right now, he doesn't have follow me enabled. So when a call comes in, all 3 devices ring at the same time. And if, all right, so now if I click on follow me as an admin, all right, I would click up here to enable. Now I have to tell the system what devices to make use of. All right, so under do not ring, I would uncheck the devices I want to make use of. I have a little green bar. I click and drag those to give those a ring duration. Up here, these are ringing times. Defaults to 120 seconds. You can always change it in this last box here to adjust the time. You can also click this distribute button. So now it equalizes the calls between these 2 devices. It's always going to ring in this order. I can click and drag to change the order and then click distribute. And then click on save changes when I'm done. Now that's something you'd have to work with the staff member to see how they want the devices to work. So something to keep in mind. Right, caller ID number. This is for users with their own phone numbers. This allows you to change their outbound caller ID for their white phones to match the number you assign to them. Right, this is good typically for salespeople. Right, people will call them directly back. Fax box. This allows you to set up a fax box specifically for this user. You can add a additional phone number or use an extension. I recommend using a phone number. Conference bridge. This is what you enable to have someone host or moderate a conference. Call forwarding. This is where you would enable call forwarding for the user. They can enable call forwarding themselves to like a cell phone via their user portal, as well as using feature codes on their VoIP phone directly. There is an admin specific feature here where you can set up a failover mode, which basically is if their VoIP phone goes offline, if you set up failover mode, it will automatically forward to that phone number you designated ahead of time. Customized call recording. This is to record both inbound and outbound calls on the user. Music on hold. You can have users have their own hold music, or like you can have like your salespeople have one type of hold music where everyone else has the hold music you set up on the dashboard page. Do not disturb. If as an admin, you come here, you'd put a user on do not disturb so they're not getting calls, right? You want them to focus on a particular project, or maybe someone had to leave for some sort of an emergency. Hot desking is a VoIP phone feature. This is designed for hybrid scheduling or shared office environment. It lets people log into the phone that they're sitting at. And so they don't have a normal desk or VoIP phone that is set up on a day-to-day basis. Excuse me. So you would sit at the phone that you're going to sit at for that day. You pick it up. You hit *11 to log in. It asks you for your hot desk ID, potentially a PIN number if you set that up. And then calls will then be routed to that. When that calls for that user will then be routed to the phone that they're sitting at. End of their day, pick up the phone, *12 to turn off hot desking. All right, next we're going to go to groups. Sometimes referred to as departments or hunt groups or ring groups. Up here at the top, you would click on Add Group. You need to give it a name. You need to give it an extension number. Your staff members on the account will be listed here. Just click and drag them over to the right, whoever you want to be part of the group, and then you would click on Create Group. Once a group is created, you can click on their name, or on its name. Right? You can change the name. You can also change the group call attempts. This is how many times the system will offer an inbound caller to the members of the group. There are little arrows at the far right. You can increase or decrease that as necessary, and then click on change, save changes. Members box shows who's been assigned to the group. Down here at the bottom, I can add more people to the group. So we can add Dante and Jeanette here. And I can click their ring bars like this. So now I'm doing blast ringing or ring all, right? So whoever answers the call first gets it. Now, I can also click distribute. So now it's always going to ring in this order, right? So David first, then Jeanette, or so, sorry, then Dante, then Jeanette. Even if David's on a call, right, and a second call calls in to him, he's going to be off of that call initially, right? It does not skip him. Just like under the follow me, right, I can click and drag people and change the order and click distribute. This little time box here I can adjust as well. One thing to know is if this users have the follow me setting enabled on their user and they're in a group, calls from their group ignore the follow me setting, right? So David had 3 devices, right? All 3 of them are going to ring, even if I set up the follow me for only 2 to ring. Extension box. Groups can have multiple extension numbers. Generally speaking, this is what your staff uses to transfer calls to a particular group. Groups can have their own phone numbers. This is direct access number, right? Brings directly to the group. It's available 24/7, just like a user phone number. No hours of operation. Group features. Go through these real quick. Ringback is essentially hold music for the group. You click up here to enable. You upload a .wav or .mp3 file up to 1 megabyte in size. And then you click on Save Changes. Main thing to remember, the system is not going to loop this file for you. So you want to make sure that its total playtime matches or exceeds the ring time of the group. Next action, this is for if your staff members aren't able to pick up, what do you want the system to do with the call? And this pull down lets you send the call to whatever destination, another group, a specific voicemail box, another user, etc. Allow call forward. If you enable it, that means your staff members can forward calls, right? i.e. they're not going to be at their VoIP phone at their desk, but they can forward it to their cell phone, even if the cell phone's not normally a device on their user. Caller ID prepend, this is a VoIP phone feature. This allows you to put text or numbers that shows up on your staff members' VoIP phones in front of the caller ID, right? So customer Mary calls in and rings to Bob's VoIP phone, right? So on Bob's VoIP phone, he would see the word support and then customer Mary's phone number. So then he knows what kind of call he's getting. All right, now let's go over to main number. All right, main company numbers, again, these are your default numbers that people dial into. Down here, you can add from spare, i.e. you're using a number you're not currently using, or buy new numbers to add new numbers to the account. Then we have office hour strategy. You can be open 24/7 or have custom office hours. If you choose custom office hours for each day of the week that you're open, click on the check mark in front of that weekday. And then in the boxes here to the right, set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. Down here, you do have the option to be closed for lunch at the same time every day that you're open. If you do so, then set your lunch hours in 24-hour military time as well. And then click on Save Changes. Office holidays, if you're closed for holidays, put a check mark up here. Over here, whoops, did not mean to do that. Over here to the right, click on Add Holiday. You have your option here for date range, or single day, date range, or advanced. Each one creates a new row. All right, give it, whatever you do, give it a name. Date range, single day, right? Month and date, save changes. Date range, start date, end date, save changes. Advanced, like I have here for Memorial Day, you choose the month. In the second pull down, you have first through fifth as well as last, and then the day of the week. If you need to remove a holiday, click on the little trash icon and then save changes. Incoming call handling. So for my main numbers, how do I want my system handle calls during my open hours, during my after hours, or during my holidays? Right? If I had a lunch hours, there would be a lunch hours tabs here as well. First option here is the virtual receptionist. This is a link, which will, if I click on, opens up a big old box. On the left is my main menu. These are what people press to navigate through my phone system. I have the option here to add route. If I click on it, it would give me a new row. This first pull down, you have 0 through 9, the star key, and default action. Right. Second pull down, things on your system. Users, groups, devices, call queues, even a media file if you just want a message to play. On the right, first up, you have my greetings, or your greeting options. Text-to-speech, type in a greeting, the system plays it back in a computerized robotic voice. You can upload your own file, right? .wave.mp3. Choose from something that's already on the system, i.e. you're going from your holiday greeting back to your normal greeting. Record it over the phone. The system by default wants you to do this with a VoIP phone. Now, if you don't have a VoIP phone, or you have someone who's got that great radio voice, but they don't want to come to your office for whatever reasons, then under settings, you want to go down to where it says allow outside recording, click that on, and then save. Now, this then allows anyone to call in from any kind of phone, and then when they enter the PIN number, they can change your main greeting. So obviously when they're done, you want to turn this back to off, so that way someone doesn't randomly enter the PIN number by accident and somehow start changing your main greeting on you. Realize when you're calling in to change or to record the greeting, it's overwriting the existing greeting that's in place. Professional recording services, when you click on the order button there, it's going to open a new tab, take you to Snap Recordings, which is a separate company. And you can order a professionally done recording from them, and they'll email you the completed file. So then you would just come up here to upload the file. Now, under settings, number of retries on misdial. This is how many times your inbound caller can make a mistake. They automatically get one attempt built in, right? This person, now I have this set for 1, so that means my inbound callers can make 2 total attempts, or for the system says invalid entry. Dialing timeout, this is how much time the system listens for additional button presses. So for people trying to enter in an extension number. Allow dialing extensions. By default, this is on, and this just means if someone enters in a valid extension number, the system will transfer the call. If I turn this off, that means my inbound callers can only press my menu options. Anything else is an invalid entry. And then suppress the playing of invalid entry, right? So after that final attempt, the system will play, we did not recognize your entry, goodbye. If there's no default action. If there's a default action, it will say, we did not recognize your entry, and then transfer in your call. So in that last instance, you may not want that message to play about we did not recognize your entry. So then you would turn this on, and then the system would still say transfer in your call. Up to you. So any changes you make to your main menu, your greetings, or your settings, you need to click Save down here at the bottom right. And then when you get back here to incoming call handling, click on Save Changes. All right. So the second option is a live operator answer option. This first pull down is something on your system, users, groups, a phone, right, device, etc. And then if they're not able to pick up, then it goes to your virtual receptionist. Now, this is my after hours virtual receptionist, so I have different menu options and different greeting. I could have the same settings. Holidays, I'm using this third option. This pull down is anything on your system, right? User, group, devices, media file, etc. I chose the last option, which is just skip to voicemail. The second pull down, any voicemail box on the account. Main conference number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want. You can add from spare or buy new. You can also set up a text-to-speech greeting. If you're so inclined, just click enable and type in the greeting here and then save. Main fax box number, you can have the one main fax box number, and once you do, you can click edit fax box. Inbound notification email, enter in the box to the right, enter an email address, and that email address gets an email every time a fax comes through. There'll be the date, time, and a PDF attachment. Also be aware that if someone dials your fax box number and hangs up, that email address gets a notification saying there's a failed inbound fax attempt. Email permissions, in the box to the right, you can enter in a single email address or, as is shown here, your company's email domain. And when you do the company email domain, that means anyone at your staff who has a valid email address with your company, they can send a fax out on the account, even if they're not a user on the account. To do so, they would create an email from your company's email domain. In the to field of that email, you put your destination phone number, so +1 area code and phone number, no spaces, the dashes or parentheses, little @ symbol, and then your account row. And then you need to attach a PDF or TIFF file. The system does not look at the subject line. It does not look at the body of the email, right? It's looking at the to field, the from field, and the attachments. One attachment per email, one recipient per email, right? So don't try to CC or BCC a bunch of other phone numbers. It won't work. Auto attendance is an add-on feature. This allows you to create multiple auto attendants. You would do this because you want sub-menu options, one for English, two for Spanish, or you have multiple businesses, and those other businesses have their own greetings, their own phone numbers. Up here at the top, you would click on Add Attendant, give it a name, give it an extension number, click on Create Attendant. When you first add an attendant, it defaults to be unavailable in main menu, right? This means it's a standalone attendant, probably a separate business. If you want it to be a menu option, then you would click on the toggle here to say available in main menu, and then save changes. Auto attendants can have their own phone numbers, add from spare by new, and in this, use the support page link for adding a phone number. Auto attendants can have their own phone number or their own multiple extension numbers, right? Just click on add extensions. This is typically not something your customers would know, but your staff would use to transfer calls. Then you have the little wrench icon under settings. And you have open hours, after hours on holidays. This matches what we set up under your main number, but they all go to a virtual receptionist. So you need to set up menu options and a greeting, and then you can set up these settings, and then you would click on save and save changes. The device tab shows your devices on the account. Red devices are unregistered, so we cannot send a call to it. For like a soft phone and web phone, could be someone's just not logged in. Could also be they're having some sort of network issue. From here, we can't tell. We just know we can't send calls to it. Green devices, we can send calls to them. You can add devices here, but again, just remember VirtualPBX soft phone, you have to add directly to the user. One thing to also know is under the little wrench icon here under edit, for VoIP phones specifically, here we go. Under advanced, emergency caller ID. So each phone number can have its own address information associated with it. Then you can assign specific phone numbers to specific VoIP phones, right? So, and this is only for the purposes of 911, right? So if the user at this VoIP phone dials 911, this is the address information that gets transmitted to emergency services versus the corporate headquarters address. All right, Greetings tab shows all your media files on the account. You can add new ones up here by clicking Add, give it a name, click on Browse, ideally a .wav or .mp3 file, and then click on Create Greeting. It will upload it here, and then you can assign it where you need it to. Beyond that, name, just the name of the file. Source, TTS means text-to-speech, right? So created with your auto attendant or virtual receptionist. Upload means the file was uploaded. And then recording means it was recorded over the phone. The play column here, this lets you play back the file directly in your browser, so you can make sure it's something you still want. If for some reason that doesn't work, you can always download the file and use your device's media player. I also recommend this for your main greeting that you use for most of the year, right? So that way you have a backup copy. Otherwise, you can edit an existing greeting with the little wrench icon here, and you can change the name to something that's more easily recognizable for you, or you can delete it if you no longer need the file. Numbers tab starts you off on your numbers in use, shows you all your numbers and where they're assigned, little gear icons so you can update the caller ID or E911 information. Spare numbers, these are numbers you're not currently using. They count towards your allotment of numbers. If you want to remove one or more, you would click on the little box in front of it, and then you have the option to delete up here, and then you would click on delete numbers to remove it completely from the account. Voicemail boxes shows your voicemail boxes on the account. Anything with the heading under the user column here was a voicemail box that was created with the user. But you can create your own voicemail boxes for like your groups. For example, click on create voicemail box, give it a name, a voicemail box number, and a PIN number. Click on create voicemail box. Now, one thing to know is a voicemail box number is not the same as a extension number. So if someone tried to dial 3333, they're not getting to this voicemail box. Now, this basic information is what you would use to access the voicemail box over the phone. Right, so like you can list the messages, update its greeting, etc. Under advanced greeting media, you can upload an MP3 or .wav file for the voicemail box greeting. The media file is going to be your typical greeting. The temporary is for out of office or vacation messages. If something is selected in both slots here, only the temporary file plays. The media file won't play again until you set temporary back to none. Recipients, your user voicemail boxes, have a built-in recipient, but any voicemail box, you can come here under recipients and click on add recipient and click add additional email addresses that you want to get the voicemail notifications. Keep clicking add until you're done and then save changes. And then options. Once a voicemail box has recipients and a media file, then you might as well click on already set up so that way people won't accidentally change that voicemail box greeting. You can also then come down here to make sure that the attached voicemail to email is associated. If you have a voicemail box that you don't want ever to get full, so like this is my support voicemail box, then you can also choose to delete after notification and then click on save changes. Virtual text forward is an add-on feature. This allows you to have phone numbers accept inbound text messages and then they forward them on. This is not for two-way text communication. And in this case, you can see I'm sending them to these email addresses. Again, use the support page link for text forward to get the full instructions. Virtual extensions. This is a plan-specific feature. This allows you to add additional extension numbers without adding full users. There's some limitations. They're not users, so they can't be part of a group, for example. Also, because there's no email address associated with them, you cannot assign a VirtualPBX softphone to them. When you click on add extension, you just give it a name, give it an extension number, create extension. They can also only have one device. But you have the full gamut beyond the VirtualPBX softphone. Call logs shows your call history on the account. You have today, this week, this month, and then custom. Custom lets you go back up to 1 year. After that, you'd have to talk to our support team, and they would have to create an escalation for you. Our engineers, though, can only go back up to 18 months. Green arrow to the right, that's a call that came into the system. You can click on a call to see if there's multiple legs, meaning with the multiple devices. And a yellow arrow to the left is a call that left the system, right? Going out from the system. Little fire extinguisher icon. This will create an email for you, pre-addressed to support@virtualpbx.com, and we'll have the technical details of the call. type in the context, i.e. you didn't get audio or you had bad audio quality, something like that, just so that way you're clear about why you were sending it in. And then the support team can help you with that. Feature codes. These are ways for your VoIP phone users to access VoIP Dash features directly from their VoIP phones. Obviously, the page here, if you use that support page link, do a search for feature codes or for phone commands cheat sheet, and you'll see what all of these can do. Over here under the menu icon, this was all under the dashboard. Call center, this is a plan-specific feature, which basically is ACD queues. In the show notes, you can look at the ACD QUEUES Pro demo. Going forward, this is actually going to be a separate product, I believe just called Call Center, but it's basically for call queuing. Dynamic caller ID, this is an add-on feature. This allows you to create rules to change the outbound caller ID for your VoIP phones. So you can set up an automatic one like this one here, where if my staff members dial a 702 area code phone number, the system will automatically change their outbound caller ID to the 702 number. Now, the phone number I selected here has to be a number on your account. You can also set up a feature code, so that way your staff members have to enter that before they enter the phone number. Faxes, this is your fax manager. You can see your inbound faxes. I don't know if there's any on this account. You can go to your outbound faxes. And you can see there's a failure here. Mouse over it to see what the failure was. And this is, so there's a timeout when it would try to connect to that phone number, meaning it might have been a bad phone number or some other issue. Email to fax logs. If there's anything here, look, there'll be an eyeball icon to the far right. Click on that, and that's going to give you the specific error the system ran into. Reports. This is the advanced reporting add-on. Opens up a new tab, takes you to reports.virtualpbx.com, which has its own login. In the show notes, look at the advanced reporting demo. Voicemails. This lets you get to any voicemail box on the account. You just click on the one you want or do a search. It would show you the messages, so you can there'll be like a box in front of it, and then you can change the status, right, to listened or deleted, mark for deletion, etc. You can also play it back or download the file. Integration AWS, plan-specific feature. This allows you to link your Dash account to an Amazon Web Services account. And if you click, I'm just going to click here to show you, we need the access key, the secret access key, and the bucket from Amazon Web Services to link your Dash account to other software. You would do this just like store your call recordings, for instance, or even voicemails or faxes. All right, blacklist. This allows you to create a list of phone numbers that you're blocking from reaching your staff. Just click Edit Blacklists and choose a list. I'll actually go back here. Basically, in these lists, you're going to add a list of numbers, just +1 area code and phone number, no spaces, dashes, or parentheses. They still will show up in your call logs. They'll just say rejected because they're not going to reach your staff. Again, use the show notes for blacklists, and you'll see the full steps. Call recording. So since this account has AWS, it's taking me to my AWS interface so I can see my call recordings there. I can change the date range to go back. If you don't have AWS, that link will instead open a new tab, take you to recordings.virtualpbx.com. It uses your Dash login information, and you can view your recordings there. Number manager, this is taking you back to your spare number page. User portal, every user has access to their own user portal. It defaults to your voicemail tab, so you can listen to them, download them, etc. The other thing is under settings and devices. This is where your staff members can enable call forwarding themselves. They put a check mark here, +1 area code and phone number, and then save. Now I'm call forwarding. All right, uncheck, and now I'm not. Webhooks, plan-specific feature. This allows you to link your Dash account to other software. You would click on new webhook, and you have to fill out the form. This is at least some sort of programming. In the show notes, you can look at the introduction to Zapier webinar, which covers some of webhooks. You can also go to developer.virtualpbx.com to see sample code of what we have done. And then SMS registration. If you want to make use of the virtual text feature, you need to go through SMS registration. You're going to want to read this page here. There's a link at the very bottom that goes to the complete guide. This is where you would start the registration process. And then here you would see the registration status. There is a one-time fee of $99 to go through the registration process. So please be aware of that. And that is everything. And I don't see any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I thank you for your time today, and I hope you have